I'm just making this video to express the thoughts, ideas, and perspectives and theories I have about the SYRE storyline. I'm just going to be reading it verbatim, the things I wrote down. I'm not the best YouTuber, I'm just trying to say it all. Okay, number one, I believe the entire SYRE narrative Jaden tells through his music is like this epic reverse poem. The story is a metaphorical retelling of his two attempts to committing suicide. The first one being in 2013, then the second one being in 2015. It's a heavy and complex concept, so bear with me as I try my best to break it down in ways for you to understand. I want to start this video with talking about the Sunset tapes, the Cool tapes, and CTVs too. These projects feel like deeply personal letters, almost like a sonic suicide note addressed to us, the fans. It's not unusual for people to make a suicide note. Many people who contemplate or commit suicide do leave behind some form of explanation, but it's just in Jaden's case, for lack of better words, it seems his art carried that emotional weight. Then I'm gonna kind of go into the albums like SYRE, the Electric album, Iris, and This Is the Album. These aren't just records, they feel like cinematic reenactments, each crafted like a dramatic shot for shot retelling of Jaden's mental and emotional descent. It's as if he transformed his most painful moments into art. Here's the intricate and difficult part. The CTV3 albums, both the Day Trippers edition and the regular version, seem to serve a different function in this story, though. They aren't just continuations of the narrative, they act as reflective memoirs, reacting to the emotional buildup and answering the question of why Jaden felt driven to these extremes. They are presented to us as a recollection of what may have happened. Scratch that, it's as if he did something that caused him to forget something, forget what happened, but then he had to do something else in order to bring those castaway memories back. Oh, number two, let me kind of break down this plan. In my head, I feel like the execution, the steps he took was like step one, to take a large dose of Benadryl, specifically maybe like 90 pills. Step two was him to drive to a specific like location, with one location being the beach underwater, and then the second one being on the hilltop at the Paramount Ranch place. And he's also bringing a gun. And then number three, he goes into like this very deep, probably unseen spot where no one can really find him, and he's going to shoot himself with the gun. Number three. So, like I said before, he, Jaden consumed a lot of Benadryl, trying to overdose using it. And the symptoms of taking a dangerously high dose of Benadryl include like vivid hallucinations, severe cotton mouth that can make speech and sound slur, bloodshot red eyes, and most crucially, frequent blackouts and episodes of amnesia. In other words, total memory loss. These are exact symptoms we see mirrored in the character of SYRE and later Iris. And then there's the music itself. In tracks like Icon, Again, Fire, and Photograph, which cleverly plays on the double meaning of a camera shot and a gunshot, Jaden repeatedly references firearms in the act of shooting in his lyrics, and it's really not subtle. If you go like, just for an example, at the very start of the Fallen music video, you literally see Jaden shooting himself in the grass fields with the gun and then dropping it, and then he starts singing and dancing. Number four, with the large dose of Benadryl in his system, and it causes him to hallucinate. The person he hallucinates into, like, he manifests and sees is Lucy, though, in my opinion, I think is actually Lucifer himself. And Jaden is basically dancing with the devil Number five. So there is a very haunting line in the SYRE poem, and it says, "But she eventually kills him." And as I mentioned earlier, Lucy was the person he's imagining. Lucy is his love interest. Lucy, I think, is the she in that line. And the him, I think, is not a literal person because we understand it to be Jaden. But what of Jaden? Is it? I think it's Jaden's ego. So if we were to add all this up, I'm saying that Lucy killed Jaden's ego. Number six. If you ever wanted to fall down the rabbit hole and try to understand this whole story yourself, I would say to lead with this thought in answer to this question. Has anyone ever really stopped to ask, what does Jaden, and by extension the Smith family, actually believe in? What's their spiritual or theological foundation? Early in Jaden's career, like before SYRE, Jaden came across as a free thinker. He was immersed in philosophy, sacred geometry, esoteric thoughts, Masonic imagery, metaphysics, you name it. His music was more cosmic than Christian, but after SYRE, something shifted. His lyrics started to include stronger biblical themes, direct references to scripture, and subtle testimonies of faith. It's as if he found something real and grounding in the Bible. Now, here's the scene that really kicks it for me. SYRE trailer and in the 90 music video, there's a close-up shot of Jaden's face during a sunset. This is spoken by Lucy. The caption reads, "But I thought we were never endless." Jaden stands there silently on the brink of something. A tear slides down his face. And comes the flash and the symbolic gunshot in his eye. And Jaden mouths the words because he's muted during the sunset. You can't hear his voice, but with his words you can see him say, "But I believe in the Bible." And then Lucy responds back in the caption saying, "I know." Kill. She kills Jaden's ego, and that's like the beautiful paradox of this whole thing. The destruction of Jaden's pride becomes the very moment he finds humility to confess his belief. In that scene, death isn't the end, it's transformation. Lucy doesn't win, she sets the stage for his rebirth. Now, you're probably asking, because if he lost his memory from taking all these drugs, how did he gain it back? And in my opinion, I think it was with shrooms. Psychedelics, particularly psilocybin, have long been known to unlock hidden parts of the subconscious. And for Jaden, I believe they were the key that cracked open the sealed vault of his suppressed memories. Let me rewind for a second. In the early tapes, like The Cool Cafe, Red, like Suicide Notes, you can feel the emotional turmoil bleeding through the lyrics. These weren't just mixtapes, they were confessions, pain wrapped in beats left behind like letters for anyone who cared to, decode them. Now, remember when I said CTV3 felt like a recollection of pieces? The stories stitched together to explain how SYRE and Iris ended up in the isolated state that they're in. Well, I believe that the act of taking the shrooms was the bridge, the ritual that allowed Jaden to assess those buried memories and emotions and begin telling the story. It's not just a recollection, it's a resurrection. As we near the end of this journey, I want to close on a hopeful note because despite the darkness that shapes this story, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Jaden is alive. That alone is something to celebrate. But the deeper question is why and how did he survive? I believe Jaden did pull the trigger during the first suicide attempt, doing what he did underwater. But the second time, I don't think he went through with it. Instead of taking his life, he let something else die. his ego. And in that internal death came freedom. He was finally able to confess what he was holding in, confront his demon, and release the toxic habits that kept him trapped. But he didn't do it alone. I truly think the encouragement, love, and grounding presence of people like Cuddy, Taku, his close friends, and the whole Misfits team they all played a vital role in his healing. And sometimes the right words from the right people at the right time can save a soul. Love, when it's honest and well paced, can be the most powerful medicine of all. Now, just because he didn't pull the trigger and kill himself on the hill does not mean he did not take the 90 pills. And with that, him taking the 90 pills, came the hallucinations, the visions that birthed this dance with Lucy. And then that dance with Lucy tore through his psyche and rebuilt the world inside his head. And this whole thing is like a cycle. Like the transformation didn't come without a storm, if it makes sense. But I'm gonna fast forward to like the present day, where Jaden's, his most recent project that he released was the Case Study EP. In those songs, he doesn't just sound better; he sounds whole. He writes with clarity, with purpose, with love. And tracks like Gorgeous and The Coolest Part 2 play like love songs to a woman. But under the surface, they're spiritual devotion and odes to God, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'll admit it, this story is heavy. It's tragic. It's layered. Now, I know I didn't pull out every lyric, every song title, or moment from his career to back up this theory piece by piece, outside of maybe a few references. I mostly let the idea speak for itself, and that's not because of copyright reasons or anything, but it's just because I didn't feel like I had to. I believe if you walk into any of Jaden's projects with the lens and this perspective that I'm telling you, it will all just start clicking. You'll see what I'm talking about. When you listen to the music itself, the dots will connect. The vision will unfold in real time as you listen to each project. But right here, right now, I'm low key like choosing to stop right here for now. But don't get it twisted. I could go deeper. I could talk about the lyrical motifs. I can talk about certain narrative arcs. I can talk about parallel storylines from his peers, like Logic and Tyler and Donald Glover. I can actually connect all four of them together. I can talk about his fashion evolution, the Just Water company, and how that ties into what's going on. I can talk about his relationship with his girlfriends. And I can talk about I can talk about the dialogue rap, like the way this dude decided to write the story, knowing it's an epic reverse poem, and he uses dialogue rap to convey story plot points and story beats. I'll leave it here. You can digest it, you can sit with it. And if anything resonated, confused you, or sparked a new thought, let me know in the comments. If there's something specific you want me to unpack next, say the word, let me know. Thank you. That was the end of the video. Love you, Jaden.